Okay, so we are here again at the Tzafir home for the third in the series Teshuva, talking about different ideas and aspects, trying to understand, get a deeper understanding and connection to what we're supposed to be doing during this time period. Now it's the Aseres Teshuva going into Yom Kippur. I just want to readdress one point that we finished up with last week, and then move on to new points which I mentioned last time we're going to get to. But we finished last time. Yaniv over here, the Balabayas, he said a story about a family that adopted a child, and then later on the child went off the derech and rebelled against the parents, and the mother said some sort of a line like, "Oh, I wish I never adopted him." And Rav said to her, "Now you lost all of your schar for all of your mitzvos, for all of the things you did." And Yaniv was saying this, that it seems that not everybody agreed with the approach that I was taking to this idea. So I said last week, I said, of course not everybody agrees, and I said, V'chanan and all these other things. But even so, that story didn't really sit well with me. I don't know if my facial expressions on the video, gave that away while I was listening. I don't know. But the story didn't really sit very well with me. And again, like this whole concept, I can't accept as at face value this way. Hashem being, the kind, just, loving, wanting to give good God that He is. I have a hard time with it. So I discussed it with Rav Asher Weiss, and I won't quote him as I just did, off the record over here a minute ago. But he certainly did not agree. With the perspective that the Rav expressed, that this woman lost all of her schar, and certainly not that he ever should have said such a foolish thing, is what he said basically. So I just wanted to recap that, which again, it's a very nuanced question whether you water it down, so to speak, as much as I did last week in the shir, or you somehow, wherever you do. But Rav Weiss said, of course, she didn't mean to regret all the mitzvahs that she did. That was an expression of anger and upset, etc., whatever it is. But the idea is that we shouldn't regret our mitzvahs. But whether we lose our schar or not, we'll find out Achar Mei V'Esrim Shana, if my pshat in the Rambam is true. Okay, but I want to now address another point, which is really like the fundamental point of, if you think about it, really Aseres Teshuva and Yom Kippur, because if you really think about it, Yom Kippur is only for a third of the population, so to speak, right? The Rambam tells us, which we read last week, that on tzaddikim, on Rosh Hashanah, are nechtam immediately for Chaim, right? This is what we say, that b'yom tov shel Rosh Hashanah, mi shenimtze tzaddik, nechtam l'chaim. On Rosh Hashanah, that's it, it's all over, right?
Not a third.
I'm sorry? No, I'm saying a third, three types.
No,
not a third quantitatively, but a third of the, like the Kohen Levi Yisrael, I would say, is a third. You know what I mean? Mishanim to Rosh Nechtam Lemisa. He's done for. Just back to the Nechtam L'chaim, somebody told me that has been to Uman. I've never been. Don't know that I aspire to necessarily, though not against it. But somebody said that apparently they hold there in Uman. That in Uman they're judged at Baruch Hu, the first Baruch Hu of Rosh Hashanah night. And the whole din, everyone after Baruch Hu of Ma'ariv on Rosh Hashanah night, Uman has already been judged. It's all done, it's all over, and they've already been signed in for life. And then the rest of Rosh Hashanah is mamish like, I don't want to say a party in a negative way, a party for Hashem, and a simcha with Hashem, but there's like it's not about Emas Hadin and all these other things, like they believe that judgment is over already Rosh Hashanah night. But that's what the Rambam says, Nechtam L'chaim. Now the question is, when on Rosh Hashanah does that take place? Right, it's an interesting thing, right? Because again, we saw last week in the Rambam that the Rambam said, "Who's a tzaddik? A person who has more mitzvos." And he said, of course, more doesn't just mean in number. Hashem is the only one who knows how to make that calculation, right? We spent that was last week's topic. Right? A tzaddik has more mitzvos, so a tzaddik is nechtam l'chaim right away. Mishinim ze rasha nechtam l'misa. He's sealed for death right away. Yeah, habeinani tolenoso ad yom kippurim. Yeah, a beinani, so he's dangling, he's waiting now. Through the Aseres Teshuva, through Shabbos Teshuva, and Yom Kippur. Right? It sounds like Yom Kippur is only for the Beinanim. The Tzaddikim and the Rishayim don't need Yom Kippur. Tzaddikim don't need it, Rishayim won't help. Imas Teshuva nechtam l'chayim, v'im lav nechtam l'misa. If they do Teshuva, they're sealed for life. If they don't do Teshuva, they're sealed for death. Did we address this last week, why they're sealed for life and death based on this Teshuva and mitzvah? I don't know if we spoke about this or not. Okay, I don't know. Okay, anyway, so I want to just address, there's a few points. This is like really, if you think about it, right? So the whole Aseres Teshuva Yom Kippur is based on this one line in the Rambam. It's all based on all of us who are supposed to see ourselves as Beinanim, right? We're supposed to see ourselves as that person in the middle. We're supposed to see ourselves as like, that one mitzvah, that one avera is going to make all the difference, and everything matters. And that's what the Rambam says. A person is supposed to see himself. The person has to see himself exactly on the razor's edge, and everything matters, everything counts. That's how a person has to see himself. Okay, but there's a few points here that we have to try to understand. First of all, does that really make sense so much that it's like mitzvos and averos? And because if you do that, it would really fluctuate by the second, right? By the second, a person is faced with mitzvos and averos every single moment of their life. Every thought that flutters into a person's head could potentially be a thought of an avera or a mitzvah, or shutting out a thought of an avera, which itself is a mitzvah, or thinking about so many things. Every moment of a person's life, certainly over the course of a minute or an hour, and certainly over the course of 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, it's like, when does that take place? At what point in Rosh Hashanah? There's one point, and that's it. And if it happens to be that, it's kind of funny, right? That's not so miskabel al adas. How do you say that? Mitkabel al adat. Mitkabel. It's not doesn't make sense so much, right? That it should be. It's not so logical. Not so logical. And then the other thing also, which is just we have to understand this idea that it's obviously what this means to be sealed for life and sealed for death, and all these things that we're davening for, and is this talking about life and death, like living and dying, a pulse and breathing, and then that means that Rishayim are nechtam l'misas. So that means that all the tzaddikim that end up, the year that Rav Yashiv died, I'm going to say it, the year the Chavetz Chaim died. So that year he must have been a Rasha because he was nechtam. He died that year. So obviously, it's also that's not logical. It doesn't make sense. So there's a few things in the Rambam here that the Rambam seems to be taking very literally. Right? If you read through the halachas in this Perek Gimel in the Rambam, he seems to be talking about these terms in a very literal way. But if you think about it, it kind of doesn't make so much sense, these 2 points. And then again, the third point, which if I said last week, somebody will remind me, but the third point is the very, very end of the Rambam. I don't know if we'll get to this or not. Maybe we'll leave this as a cliffhanger. But the end of the Rambam is also a little bit difficult because, again, we're talking about a Beinani, and a Beinani who made it through Rosh Hashanah, not getting yet sealed. So now he's going through Aseret Teshuva, he's going through Yom Kippur. So if he does tshuva, then he's nechtam l'chaim. So first of all, why does he have to do tshuva? If he's a Beinani, he's exactly 50-50. So a mitzvah should work, right? Any mitzvah should tip the scales. Why does he have to do tshuva? That's number one. Yeah, and number two, v'im eno. I don't want to get the lesson wrong. V'im lav. If he doesn't do tshuva, nechtam l'misa. Why is that fair? He's still a 50-50. Why did he just tip the scales to the negative just because he didn't do tshuva? Mm-hmm. In other words, I get it. The tshuva can deduct from the averas, but I don't get why mitzvos shouldn't help, and why does a Beinani let there be more overtime, more extra innings, more time? Why does he automatically get sealed for death? Right. So these are a bunch of questions just on these, and there's 1.5 lines in the Rambam that again, when we go through this and try to understand each one of these points, we come to understand a lot more about what we're doing during this time of year and what tshuva is all about, and what's a Beinani about, etc. So the first thing I want to address, we're going to learn from the Sefer Pachad Yitzchak. I'm just going to read little bits and pieces inside just because his lashon is so beautiful. This is from Rav Yitzchak Hutner. There's a Rosh Yeshiva of Chaim Berlin, Yeshiva Chaim Berlin in New York. He was nifter some years ago. And his son is Rav Yonason David, who's Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivas Pachad Yitzchak, named after these Farim in Harnof. It's like a big, beautiful building in Harnof. Like right when you go down Rehov Katznello, like a big, beautiful building there. It's in Pachad Yitzchak. So Rav Yonason David, and Rav Yonason David is himself one of the Gedolei Ador, and his wife is Rebbitzin David from BJJ. I don't know if you know who that is. BJJ, been a Beis Yaakov Yerushalayim. You ever heard of BJJ? Nobody? Mm-hmm. Okay, anyway, so Rebbitzin David is the Pachad Yitzchak's daughter-in-law, and she actually wrote these farm. She actually was the one who wrote them from his notes. She put this on. She's a genius of a woman also. Okay, so anyway, so the Pachad Yitzchak asked this question, Hutner asked this question. The im b'schum askinon, if we're talking about quantity here, if we're talking about an amount of mitzvos and averos, ki azayam madregas rubo zchuyos mishtanis mishal asho mirega larega. Every minute, every second, things would be changing. You know what I mean? Maybe he came into this day or into the Ruba's Chuyos, but all of a sudden he got a whole lot of challenges. Yeah, Harehu Mafsid is my last social Ruba's Chuyos. Now he loses it. Right? It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. That should be this way. Okay. So what does he say? Yeah. So ki rubos chuyos is and rubo chovos is not talking about a rove of number. He says Yischadesh etzleinu hamabat b'havchanatam shalu musagim halalu. Hamabat hachadash hazeh mare lanu. Our new perspective shows us ki rubo zechuyos enenu schum, rubo averos enenu schum, ela hi mida b'nefesh. Hukav hamushrosh b'yachso shel oso adam el atov el hara. How do you translate that? You should read this.
You need a bit of English.
Yeah, this is it writes in very beautiful English, very beautiful Hebrew here. Yeah, but he's saying as follows. How do you say kav ba'afyo shel adam? Ba'afyo.
The English version of Rambam.
He says amamasha mabat hachadosh mareh lanu ki hirubo zchuyos hukav ba'afyo shel adam. V'hu akav shel mushosh b'yachso.
It's a characteristic of the person. It's like
it's something like a character,
yeah.
Not a character trait per se, because a trait would be like one facet, but the very character of this person.
It's kav.
Yes,
it's kav.
Oh, I see.
So
Kav.
Kav. It's one line in the character.
I'm not sure if he means
aspect. Maybe.
Okay, I'm not sure because he says Ruvas Chuyos he mida benefesh. It's a mida benefesh. Hamida zu yotzeres benefesh baleas hamatzav shel hachra letzad hatov b'yitzuma shel hanefesh. This is what does it mean? A person who's Ruvas Chuyos means he's a person. His mida, his cheshek, his desire, what he's about, where his heart is. What his focus is, his essence, that's about being Rov Zchuyos. So even though you can have a person who is a savlan, he is a patient person. Yeah, the midas of savlanus, the midah of patience by him is part of him, but every now and then he can get angry. And that doesn't take away from the fact that he's a savlan. It doesn't take away from the fact that he is a patient person. The fact that he sometimes falls prey to impatience. Yeah, he's still a patient person. So too, a person who's rov zchuyos, is also mamish kamokain. Efshar la'adam shemidaso he midas rubo zchuyos lios nimtza matav shrov averos. You can literally have a person who, on the scale of things, can have more averos than mitzvos. But if his mahus, his essence, is a rubos chuyos person, v'afapichin midaso, she midas rubos chuyos eno nivgaas al yedei kach. Yeah, his essence is not affected from that. Just like the essence of a patient person, he would have to be impatient, repeatedly and over a lot of times and under a lot of circumstances, for him to lose his.
So he doesn't lose anything. So that's saying that woman. Said about the person they adopted, she didn't lose anything. She just, she was whatever. It's the same thing as you're saying.
That's what I say. So he. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean didn't lose
but
anything?
You're saying just because an impatient person got in.
It doesn't mean he loses his madriga, right? Okay, fine, right. The same idea. It doesn't mean he doesn't lose his madriga based on that. So too here, a person is just now expanding this in a much more general way. That even though the Rambam is saying that there's a scale and there's a weight that's going on, and if your averos are heavier, that's the picture that we have since we're kids. If your averos are heavier, then they're gonna, it's not literal. It's not talking about the number of the averos or even the quality of the averos. It's really talking about the quality of the person. Right? What's the nature of the person? Is
he a good person or a bad person?
Is he a good Is he a good
person can also make mistakes
exactly. and have more mistakes than
can have a bad
not
day.
mistakes. More bad days than good days is what he's saying. And even so, binechtam l'chaim. Right? So that's number one. And this, it's a very makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. He says l'kashem sheyesh hevdil tahomi. Ben also akas shehuba me adam hashakanos umidaso ben also akas hamisparitz ben adam hashamidaso imidas as avlanos. There's such a huge difference in the outburst of anger that comes from a person who is an angry person who's always getting angry versus that one outburst that comes from a person who every now and then gets upset but who really is a patient person. Ben Adam Shrubos Chuyos Midaso El Shunimtza Achshav Matzav and Zagin Midaso Achshav. There's also a massive difference between a person whose Mida is Rov Chuyos even though right now on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, he's found in a position of rov averos in a literal way. Okay, so that's number one. So this is a very, very important idea just to appreciate, understand, and to get this idea across. That okay, we're not talking about like numbers here. We're not talking about even actions so much. Right? What they're saying, what this whole point of this time period is who am I? What type of person am I? Am I a person of Torah and mitzvos and working on my midos and wanting to be better and trying, even if I'm failing and even if I'm failing more than I'm succeeding, but I'm still going to be nechem l'chaim because I'm in it. I'm trying. I'm working on that. As opposed to a person who doesn't really care so much. And even if they have a year where they happen to have more mitzvos, right? Even if that person is like a nice person, and you happen, which I guess it's hard to really do that, following the Torah per se, but even if that person happens to do more good deeds this year than bad deeds, if the person's malchus, if their essence is not to try to be good and not to want to connect to Hashem, etc., so that person could be nechtam to misa. So that's number one. That's number one in terms of understanding, who's who in the breakup of the people. Now, the next piece that we wanted to try to understand was what are these books? What are these books about? Right? The Chazal tell us, Shlosha Svarim Niftachim. There's 3 books that are open: Echad Shel Tzadikim, Echad Shel Rashayim, Echad Shel Beinanim. Right? One of Tzadikim, one of Rashayim, one of Beinanim. There's a famous Gemara of Krus Badoi. Says this is my Chazal. Yeah. So what are these books, and what does it mean? Like I was saying before. What does it mean, nechtam l'misa, nechtam l'chaim, and what are we davening for when we're asking for chaim, and all these things. So now I want to look at this is now. Let's move over a little bit to move into the stream of the air conditioner. I think
I can turn it.
That's okay. I think I got it. No, it's good. Okay.
You want more?
Well, you're in the cold seat. You're in the cold seat. You're in the cold seat in the house. That's okay. Okay, fine.
Yeah, should I?
No, it's okay. I think I'm still in it. Okay, they're probably all laughing because they all know that I keep everything freezing. Okay. Binyan Gimel Svarim Niftachim Rosh Hashanah. So this is Ramosha David Valley in the Sefer Halikutim. It's like a sefer of pieces on different topics on the Moadim and different things. So he talks about this idea also. He quotes the Gemara that that the 3 books open and that tzaddikim are signed right away to Chaim, the Rashayim are signed right away to Misa, and the Beinim Gengel. So he says, let's try to understand this. We need to understand this. What's this judgment that's going on? What's this judgment? Is this judgment going on my physical year that I'm going to have? Is it going on my spiritual year that I'm going to have? Is it going on my physical health? Is it going on my spiritual health, my connection to Hashem? What is it going on? Yeah. So he says, if the judgment is only on back to the strawberry, yeah. It's only talking about Chayei Haguf. Hello, anu roim in beinenu kama shan gemurim she'atku kol gam gavru chel ki ein chabutzos lemusa bar yulam. Right? Don't we see so many Rishayim every year? We see wicked people that certainly are rov averos and certainly have the midah of rov averos. And yet they're not nechtam l'misa, right? They're obviously nechtam l'chaim. They're signed for life because they come through the year alive, right? So how can that be? Va'adraba kama tzadikim gemurim, yeah. Olafachos meinanim harbe shemeisim midei shana b'shana. And many tzadikim that we see die, like we said, right? The Chafetz Chaim died, and Moshe Feinstein died, and Rav Elyashiv died. So does that mean that year they were Rishayim? They were signed for. They were wicked that year. That was the year, like they were when he was 94. No, when he was 95. No, when he was 96. And finally 97. Somehow that 96th year, I won't even joke about it. Right? It can't be. So what does that mean? Right? If we're talking about l'chayei guf, yeah. And he says, and if we're talking about the Chayei Nefesh, if we're talking about the spiritual judgment that's taking place, the Chayei Guf Masayin Exonim. So when does the external judgment take place? Yeah, because obviously that's also happening on Rosh Hashanah, right? Like we say in all the tefillos, so all the things about who's going to live and die, and who by water and who by fire. Right. So what's going on over here? Like what's being determined? Okay. So I'm going to say it outside because the way he says it's a little bit complicated. He says basically that there's two aspects to a person, right? Like we've discussed this idea here many times, right? There's for every person there's the chitzoni and the pnimi, right? There's the external and the internal, just like you have the neshama and the guf, right? Everything is like this. Has the external way that it shows, and then there's the internal source or essence or force of what's really behind it, right? So he calls it the chitzonius and the pnimius of a person. So he says the same thing, that there's two judgments that happens. Yeah, shneim chaya guf v'chaya nefesh nigzorim b'yom hazeh. He quotes from the Arizal, yeah, that there's a chitzoni gzar din and a pnimi gzar din for misa and for chayim. And he says like this: Harishayim shechayim v'kayomim. When you see wicked people that live and go on for their year and they have a great time, they were signed for life in Olam Hazeh. They were signed in the book of life, in the Chitzonius book, because that's how Hashem operates. Like Hashem tells us, Meshalim l'sonav al pneim, right? He pays people back in this world. And he's writing it in the external book. But in the inner book, they're signed for death, right? And in the spiritual way, they're cut off and they're already living a dead spiritual life. Like Chazal tell us, right? A Rasha, even in his life, is death. Right? Because a tzaddik, life and death is not talking about a pulse. It's talking about what's the ruach of this person doing. You have the opposite. He could be signed for life in an internal way. But he could be signed for death over here, because that's to the benefit of his internal ksav, of his pnimius din, which was for life, right? In other words, the external one is the chitzonius one. It's the fake one. It's the one that we experience over here in Olam Hazeh, but that's not the real one. That's not really what's going on, right? And you can have a situation where Rishayim are, he says it right now, exactly what I was about to say. I'll just read it. The Rishayim that are written for life in this world, who besod mashakosov, exactly the pasuk I said before. I just read this book. Umeshale l'sonav al panav lahavido. Right, that's what Hashem does. He gives to Rishayim here in this world. He gives them a good life. He gives it to them over here in order so that the pnimius is completely gone. They don't get anything in Olam Haba. Yeah, they don't get anything afterwards. And of course, it makes big nisyonos for us. It makes a big challenge for us. We see Rishayim and they prosper, and it says in the Torah, Rishayim are supposed to not, etc. Right? This is all of our nisyonos. This is what we're here to do, to challenge with these questions of emunah. Yeah, but this is how it's happening and when it's happening. It's on Rosh Hashanah. Yeah, that's what he says. Okay, so that's number two. That's number two. As far as what's being determined on this day, so there's like the less important determination, which is like the external one. That's like how much pain I'm going to have this year and whether I'm going to live or die this year. That's all external. That's all chitzonius. That's like the fake external one. And then there's the real ksiva that happens, which is what's my connection this year to Hashem going to be. And again, that could be written to life, which means a full connection to Hashem and death and suffering in this world, but the person was written to life in the book that counts, which is the Pnimius book. Okay, so that's also just like a very important thing to understand. And I spoke about this once with a Rebbe of mine, Rabbi Spinner, and he said, people feel in their lives that that they go through challenges and they go through struggles, and they find themselves back in the same place again, and they find themselves back in the same place again, and they find themselves back in the same place again, and they feel like it's exactly the same thing. And he says a person has to realize, for a lot of things about this. He said, first of all, a person has to realize that it's not true. It's not true. When a person finds themselves back in the same place again, just like we find ourselves every year by Rosh Hashanah and every year by Yom Kippur and every year by Sukkot, there's like new tikkunim to do. What do you mean? I did Rosh Hashanah last year. What do you mean? I did Sukkot. I sat in the Sukkah. I shook the lulav. No, but now there's a new tikkun to do. This year's Sukkot, right? You ever think about that? But why do I have to do it again? Because it's a cycle. It needs more. It needs it again. It needs it a different way. This year I'm doing it differently than I did it last year. This year I'm doing it when I'm in a bad mood. And last year I did it when I was besimcha. This year I'm doing it with more kavanah. Last year I did it last year. Every which way we have to do those mitzvos. So it's the same thing with our own nisyonos, right? But people don't see it that way. People feel like they're back in the same place again and they're not getting anywhere. They say, no, you're always moving. You're always moving. You're always growing and you're always growing. And to us it looks the same, and that's also part of the struggle and the challenge that we don't feel like we're getting anywhere, and that's part of the struggle. Just as a side point, this is just from Nachman says about that situation. A person always finds himself in that situation falling and falling again, and falling again, and falling again. And more than already Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kam, right? The Pasuk says 7 times, and he gets up, well, it's already been 27 times, and I still haven't gotten up. So Nachman says, also the same idea, that, this attempt has nothing to do with the last one. Every day when a person gets up, every bracha he makes today has nothing to do with any bracha he ever made before. Any nisayon he faces today has nothing to do with any nisayon he ever faced before. And he says, you never know when that last challenge that you just did was enough to give you this chus that this time you're going to make it. And he said, but what does the Yetzer Hara want? It wants for a person to let go and forget about it and just drop out and give the mashal of the chevel of Mashiach. That's what the Yetzer Hara wants, for a person to fall and not to keep trying to get back up. That's So also another Breslov thing, beautiful on this week's parsha Vayelech. My bar mitzvah parsha, the shortest parsha in the Torah. They took it after my bar mitzvah. Something.
When's your birthday?
It was Rosh Hashanah, first day of Rosh Hashanah. Same as yours? Okay, happy birthday.
Wow, Vayelech was mine too.
Yeah, but you're also.
Half of mine.
What's your What's your birthday? Chaf Heyel. Wow, the first day of the world. The first day, very nice. Yeah, first day Rosh Hashanah. It's a good birthday. So, what was L'chaim. So, what was I saying though?
Falling and getting back up again.
No, so in Vayelech, it says, Hinei Anochi ben me'av esrim shana hayom lo uchal od latzeis v'lavo. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'm now 120 years old. I lo uchal od latzeis v'lavo. I can no more go out and come in. What does that mean? Latzeis v'lavo, to go out and come in. So Yaakov Meir Shechter is one of the big Breslov Manhigim now in Yerushalayim. So he said, when a person doesn't have any more yeridos, when a person doesn't have any more nefilos, there's no more reason to be. There's no Moshe Rabbeinu hit a stage that he that's it. He didn't drop anymore. He had no more fall. So when once there's no more up and down, once there's no coming and going, once a person so then there's nothing more to live for. Our whole point of living is to be struggling and to be trying and to be.
With Moshe Rabbeinu, he had something to continue to live for. I mean, he wanted to see Eretz Yisrael. I mean, there was always something.
He didn't need to do that. He didn't need to do that. When a person has a nefila, when I have a yerida, that's something I need to fix. So Moshe Rabbeinu had his own nefilos and his own nisyonos. He didn't need to do this. He thought he wanted to, and he thought he needed to, but Hashem knew better. But once Hashem had no more nisyonos from Moshe Rabbeinu, he had no more challenges, no more people walking by catching his attention. No more challenges. So there's no more reason to be. That's what he says. So that's it. I'm ready to die. That's what he said. So we're here to keep facing these challenges, and even though we feel like we're not getting anywhere, every Rosh Hashanah is a new year, and it's turning a new page. And even though it feels like it's just a continuation of last year, but it's not. I'm in a new place, just like Rosh Hashanah we did again. I'm doing this in Zion again. A person has to keep these perspectives. We don't know what Hashem wants from us. We think we do. We try to think we do, but we can't.
It's a challenging concept, because I would think that maybe with the exception of somebody like Moshe Rabbeinu, there can't be. I can't imagine there are many people that don't have a personal challenge, let alone.
Yeah, we all do. We all do. That's exactly the point.
Plus, you have the ability to impact other people as well.
For sure, no, we all do. That's what I'm saying. The point. If a person is not facing challenges, there's no reason to be anymore. They should be dead.
Moshe didn't have any more challenges.
At that point, he did, and then he died. That was it. That was the end of his life. That's what he was saying.
He was perfect.
I've reached. He was. Moshe Rabbeinu fulfilled his potential as much as anyone can. Exactly. He was makadesh himself and fulfilled his potential as much as anybody can. That's it. That's Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why the Rambam uses him as the example that anybody who maximizes his potential could be like Moshe Rabbeinu, because that's what he did. Even though he did Averas also, but he made up for them. He did Teshuva, he fixed them, he did whatever. He was a real person. He was a real person.
What are you saying we should be doing?
He's a real person. So let's get back to this. This point was not about what we should have been doing. This last point was just about understanding what's being judged on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, what's being judged during this time period. So we're pointing out that there's two things, and they're not necessarily connected with each other. Our external year, which is being judged, could be what we would call bad. But that doesn't. I used to say this. I'll tell you. I mean, I'm wrong based on what he's writing here. I'm wrong. I used to say like this. I used to people say, "How was your Rosh Hashanah?" And I would say, "Oh, I'll tell you next year." right? Like, if I had a good year, then I guess it was a good Rosh Hashanah, but that's not true. He's saying I could have a very bad year, right? What I would consider to be a very, exactly, but it's very good. All my tefillos were answered 100% when I was asking Hashem, sign me for life. He signed me for life, all right, by giving me this challenge and that challenge.
Why,
and this,
your reward will be in the next world,
whatever, I don't get into all of that, where the reward is and why I have to go through this. I trust Hashem, he's a good accountant, I trust him, he knows what he's doing, but the point is that he's giving me what I need in order to get the life that I need, and that's signing me for life. Okay, these are ideas that we've spoken about before. That the idea that
just as we spoke about them before, it doesn't mean we shouldn't speak about them now.
Okay, so we'll address this quickly.
Like
we
we did Rosh Hashanah last year, we do Rosh Hashanah this year.
That's a good point. Okay, well said. Very well said. So we said this idea before that you have the two midos of Tzaddik V'Ralo and Rosh Hashanah. Tzaddik V'Ralo and Rosh Hashanah are when bad things happen to good people. That's Tzaddik V'Ralo, and Rosh Hashanah is when the good things happen to bad people. Right? And these are two of the biggest challenges that people have in Emunah. When they see good people that seem to be innocent suffer, and they see wicked people prosper. Mm-hmm. Right? So these are the two things that are okay. So these two midos, like everything, correspond to parts of the body. Right, like all different midos and aspects and spheros and all these things line up to different parts of the body. So the midah of tzaddik v'ralo is the midah of netzach, which is in the right leg, and the midah of rasha v'tovlo is in the midah of hod, which is in the left leg. Okay, take my word on this. Okay, you can look it up yourself. Take my word on this. Okay, so the idea of tzaddik v'ralo has something to do with the right leg. And the idea of rasha v'tovlo has something to do with the left leg.
So you only have one leg.
So then you'll live one life for the other. So what does that mean? It's like a strange thing. Like what does that have to do with it? That's weird. So there's a very, very interesting point behind this. A very interesting point because tzaddik v'ralo. What does that mean? It means this person's a tzaddik. It means that why is Hashem doing ra to him? For his benefit. Right, for his benefit, either to cleanse him from an avera, or to give him more schar, or who knows what, to challenge him, right? But if Hashem is making something happen to a tzaddik, that's quote. But if he's a real tzaddik, then it only looks like it's ralo, but it's not really ralo, right? And as opposed to a rasha, right? Rasha v'tovlo. If a rasha is getting good, that's not really good for him. That's really bad for him, like we just saw, right? He pays them out over here. So rasha v'tovlo, it's like bad. It's good, but it's bad, really, right? You're like, okay, so this is cool. So listen to this. So you have two legs, right? You have a right leg and a left leg. We know, like the right side is chesed, right? And the left side is din. Yeah, that we know. Right side is chesed, and the left side is gevura and din. So when you're taking a step with your right leg, right? When you're taking a step with your right leg, so your place is in din because your left leg is stable, right? That's your place now, but that's really moving you to a place of chesed, right? It's moving you your right step, your right foot's going forward. Right now, your right foot is in the air, yeah. So you're standing in a place of din. Your whole situation is din, but that's really a din that's moving you forward to the next step, which is chesed. That's tzaddik v'ralo, right? Tzaddik v'ralo is chesed melubash bedin, right? It's chesed. You're really getting a chesed, but it's clothed, it's disguised as gvura, right? A person gets sick, Rahman al-Litzlan, and really it's a big rachamim from Shemayim. Yeah, but it's clothed in something that feels terrible. It's clothed in something terrible, right? So that a place is in a place of gvura, but it's moving me to a place of chesed. That's the right leg. That's tzaddik v'ralo, as opposed to rasha v'tovlo. Whereas right now it looks like he's in a good place. He's standing on chesed. He's got money. Everything's going well. But that's only in order to move him to din. It's only to move him to the next. It's the next stage where he'll be finished paying back what he's getting, and then he's going to be destroyed, right? So tzaddikim, and again, tzaddikim are not. It doesn't just mean tzaddikim in all these farms. There's also I've spoken with spending about all the time. Tzaddikim means what we're talking about here, like we said in the beginning, like what Hutner said, a person who's kav ofyo, whatever his mahus, his being is wanting to be. I think we're all tzaddikim. All of us sitting around the table here. I'd like to think that tzaddikim, that we're dedicating our life to trying to serve Hashem and do our best and do what we want. Yeah, so when there's ra that's going on, it's tzaddik v'ralo. It's moving us in a good direction. It's moving us in a good place. It's ra that's that it's chesed melubash in din, as opposed to din melubash in chesed, which is a person getting paid back and getting everything. And
if someone is a tzaddik and he knows he's a tzaddik, why does he have to try so hard in Yom Kippur?
Nobody knows if they're tzaddik. Nobody knows. That's what the Rambam says, because the tzaddik reads the Rambam and takes the Rambam at face value, who tells us, like I said before, the tzaddik reads this also. He also reads the Rambam, so that's also Rav Moshe Feinstein and Shlomo Zalman and Rasha Weiss. They all read it. And they all we all think, wow. And if I was like him, of course, I wouldn't need Yom Kippur, but that's what they think also. Anyway, okay, so that's point number 2. So we're getting clarity here. So number 1, we clarified in terms of who's who, what's a tzaddik and what's a rasha, and we made the midah of a tzaddik more accessible to us. It's a person who wants it and wants it sincerely and takes it seriously and wants to be a part of it. And then we got clear a little bit more what's being judged, what's being taken care of during this time. Now I just want to address this last question, which I thought we spoke about last week. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I spoke about it in school. I don't recall. But the last point. This is a question that was asked by Itzla Petterberger. Itzla Petterberger, he was a student of Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. His name was Rav Yitzchak Blazer. But he was a very, very big Talmid Chacham, a huge Talmid Chacham. He also wrote Shalos Teshuvas, pre-Yitzchak, which was like a regular Shalos Teshuvas sefer that they had, with halachos, etc. But he was sent out to St. Petersburg to be the Rav of St. Petersburg. And St. Petersburg at the time was like a very enlightened place, and there was a lot of haskala, and people going up the derech, and he was very nervous about going to St. Petersburg, and so he went to Yisrael Salanter. It's a very famous story, that's all I'm saying it. So he said he went to Yisrael Salanter, and he said to him, I don't want to go, I'm very nervous. And Yisrael Salanter, so who should I send there? Somebody who's not nervous to go? Somebody who's not afraid of going? That's who I should send? That's a very powerful story. Yeah. Anyway, and he went there, and he was very matzliach there, and he was known then, instead of Yitzchak, Rav Itzela, and then Petterberger from St. Petersburg. That's his name. So anyway, but he kept up with Rav Salanter, and there's a number of letters between Rav Salanter and Rav Itzela Petterberger. Anyway, so he asked this question. Rav Itzela Petterberger asked this question at the end. 2 questions. Number 1, that the Rambam, why does Teshuva tip the scales? Right? Well, why shouldn't any mitzvah tip the scales? Right? If we're talking 50-50. Again, going back to the more childish picture of it. The truth of the matter is that Rav Hutner says with his explanation, he quotes this question from Itzla Petterberger. He says, with my explanation, the question really falls away, because we're not really talking about scales and this, that one mitzvah would make the difference. One mitzvah doesn't make a difference, right? Just like one avera doesn't make a difference. Teshuva makes a difference, but mitzvahs and averas don't, because that doesn't change who I am. But let's just go back to the simple understanding of the Rambam, in order to clarify this point. So what if you don't understand it like Rav Hutner, or what's the simple understanding here? So why is it, again, why can't I just do a mitzvah to tip the scales? And number 2, why is it, if I'm a Beinoni, why is it fair that Lamaisa I'm still 50-50? Why does if I don't do tshuva, my nechtam the misa? Those are the two questions. Okay, so one question I don't want to get into too long, so I want to get but there's like a whole question about the Aseres Tshuva in terms of what they are. Are they overtime on last year, or is it last year is done and this is a new year, right? What does that mean? When the Rambam says that a Beinoni is tolin, and he's dangling and waiting until Yom Kippur, so what are we waiting for during these 10 days, right? So if we understand that the Aseres Tshuva are like overtime, right? It's like extra innings from last year. What do you have? You have this in England innings and such. In Canada, you got baseball in Canada, right? Yeah. Toronto, right? Blue Jays, right? They're going to win this year. Okay, fine. So if you have you're tied at the 9th inning, so you go into the 10th and the 11th, you get your extra innings, overtime. Yeah, is this what you want? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you get extra. No, I'm fine. Sorry. No, so you get extra innings. So maybe that. So is that the story here? Yeah. If that were to be the case, so then any mitzvah would tip the scales. Right? In other words, if we're going into overtime, so let's not say it's sudden death, but all I would have to do is make sure that over that week I end up with more mitzvahs than averos. Right. So you see, that's not the way the Rambam looks at it. What does the Rambam say? The judgment is over. The judgment is over. Rosh Hashanah is done, right? Last year's points are closed, right? The books are closed on last year. The mitzvahs that you walked into Rosh Hashanah with are your mitzvahs. The averas that you walked into Rosh Hashanah with are your averas. You want to do lots of mitzvahs now and be a good boy, which he tells us to do. He tells us to do. Nogu Kobi is Israel laharbos b'tztachko v'maisim tovim v'lasok b'mitzvos b'Rosh Hashanah v'ad Yom Kippurim yasser mikol Hashanah. We're supposed to be good boy now, but not to give us mitzvos on last year, to show Hashem that we mean it for this coming year, because I can't do anything on last year's account. I can't add mitzvos to last year. What can I do is tshuva, because tshuva is time travel, right? Tshuva lets me go back in time. Tshuva lets me go, back to those averas and undo them, right? In other words, it lets me go back and erase in the books. I can't add any more mitzvahs to the books, and I can't add averas to the books either. But I can erase averas. That's the magic of tshuva. It's not much time travel. I go back and I take things off of the scale, and then that lets the other way around.
So in Elul you don't have to do tshuva. In Elul you should just add more mitzvahs.
Okay, very good. Oh, well, it also helps to do tshuva. I'm saying it also helps to be minimizing your debt going into. But you're right, yeah. But we do. We're marba in tefillos and mitzvos in Elul. That's what we do because we're trying to build up for them as much. Now, happens to be there's a very interesting thing about this. I don't want to run grab the Mishnah Brewer now. It took me a long time last time to find it, but there's a very interesting point about this, the halacha that comes out about this question, because the Ramah brings down. The very last siman of Hilchos Yom Kippur, when the Ramah brings down the minhag that right after Yom Kippur we go and build the sukkah. Right? That's what the Svarim bring down. That right after Motzei Yom Kippur. I'm sorry, Zriz Makdimin. Right, supposed to go ahead and build the sukkah right away. And then the Ramah also brings down that we wait until after Yom Kippur to do Kiddush Levana. So that we do Kiddush Levana, b'simcha, b'tov levav, that we've already been through Yom Kippur and we're cleansed of our averas and we're all b'simcha, as opposed to doing it now, which is a seis mitzvah, when we're still nervous about the din. Yeah, that's what the Ramah writes. That within the Mishnah Brewer brings, I think from the Vilna Gaon, it says v'yesh nogin to dafka do it during the seis mitzvah to be machriya the kaf zchos, right? Dafka, to do it now, to be machriya the kafschos, means that they understand that you can add mitzvos to last year, right? So it's like a funny thing. So it seems that there's like a machlokas about this. The truth is, I'm like being a little, there's two girsas. There's a girsa in the Bavli and Yerushalmi that what the Bavli says im zacha nechtam l'chayim. The Yerushalmi says im asa tshuva. Right? The Rambam quotes the lashon of the Yerushalmi, but it seems that this might even be like a machlokas between the Bavli and Yerushalmi. The Bavli says, Im zacha nechtam l'chayim. It seems like, any mitzvah I do is enough to make it happen. But the Rambam goes with the Yerushalmi that seems that you have to do tshuva, which the idea though being that the beauty of tshuva, which is like, that's why I like this Rambam, is that it's mamash is time travel. It's going, even though the year is closed, the books are closed, all the cheshbonot are closed, it's done. I gave the girls a mashal. I said, imagine if, you get a job. And you have a boss, in a huge corporation, whatever, and you get a very, very high-powered job, and he gives you a whole list of demands and all these things, and I'm very careful about this, I'm very careful about that, I'm very careful about this, and if you do well, you're going to get promotions and rewards and this at the end of the year, but if you do poorly, you're going to be, docked pay and you can lose your job. Yeah, and a person goes through the whole year, and it comes the day of reckoning at the end of the year. And they go in there, and there's more mistakes than good. They did a lot of good things. They did a lot of good things that were this bonus and that bonus and this bonus and that bonus. But after all said and done, there were more mistakes than not. And that whole thing. And the person says, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. And the guy says, "Okay, fine. You know what? Fine. That's So it would be wonderful if you just wipe the slate clean. But Hashem doesn't wipe the slate clean. He just erases the averas, and he gives you the bonus, right? You don't lose. You get all your mitzvahs for that you did over the year. Even if you came into the year a big Russia with piles of averas, and now if I do tshuva, I lose all those averas, and I still get to keep the mitzvahs. It's like, what a deal, you know what I mean? It's like it's like a freebie, and you have to just take advantage. You have to really just take advantage.
This time now is about Teshuva.
This is it. That's what it said. Teshuva Hashem b'matzo kiru b'oso karov, and that's how he finishes like this. Oh, so now listen to this. Now, what about the last question? That if he doesn't do tshuva, is nechtam l'misa. So why not? Oh, so that's what he says, because this, I don't know if I read this to you last time. Yeah, but the Rambam says, Afal pisha tshuva v'tzaka yafel olam, even though tshuva and crying out to Hashem is always good, ba'asara hayomim shebein Rosh Hashanah v'Yom Kippurim hiyafa b'yoser. During these days it's even better. Umiskabeles hi miyad, it's answered right away. Shedemar dirshu Hashem b'himatzo. Find Hashem, seek out Hashem when He makes Himself seen to you. So it says Rav Yitzchak Leah, this is a beautiful thing. It says a person who goes through the Aseres Tshuva and Yom Kippur and doesn't do tshuva, how can he be a tzaddik? That's a rasha. He's nechtam lamisa. Somehow or another, he managed to squeak his way into Rosh Hashanah equal. Somehow he managed to do that. But now Hashem is here. Hashem is dirshu Hashem b'yitzho. Hashem makes Himself available for us, and He's giving us Aseres Tshuva, and He's giving us Yom Kippur, and He's giving us all these things. And a person doesn't do tshuva. He doesn't do tshuva during this time. He just goes through this whole time. So he's nechtam lamisa. That itself is enough to determine that person's fate. Right? It's worse than just not doing tshuva any other time of the year. You're saying not doing tshuva any other time, okay. But this is the time that Hashem's here. He's begging us to do tshuva. He's saying to us, dirshu Hashem b'himatzo, find me, I'm right here. A person just lets that slide, so he's nechtam lamisa. That's what it's also a very powerful idea for this time. We have to take advantage. We have to take advantage. Like the Rambam says, it's always good, but now during this time, it's miskabelas miyad. We're capable of getting past things and getting over things and pushing through things, and just have to take advantage. Take advantage. Okay, good year, good. Don't get better, Hashem.